and Bobby eventually, got his way into audition as drummer, but not right away because Prince was considering some other people that he grew up with as on drums, and Mike Morris Day was around, for instance, as a drummer. Another guy that was Prince's cousin, Charles Smith, was being considered. So these are all people from Prince's past. Long about 1977 here, I think I wasn't quite 20 yet. I was 19 and a half. Bobby comes out to see my band playing at the time called Zachariah. Comes out to this, the Hopkins Bowl. I'll never forget this. It was the Hopkins Bowl bowling alley / nightclub there. Comes out there and takes me outside during a break and says, "Hey, I want to play you this kid that I've been working with." And I go, "Oh, okay." So he takes me out to the car and he plays me this cassette of Prince's demos that were out at that time that were going to be used to shop to the record labels out in L.A. and New York and stuff. So I heard it and I was very impressed with it, and I said, "Who's the band? It's really good." And he goes, "Well, it's not a band. It's this one guy doing everything in the studio, and he's your age. You guys are the same age." I go, "Come on." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "A 19-year-old guy went in the studio, played drums, bass, guitar, and keyboards, and sang and wrote and produced this all himself." And Bobby says, "Yeah."
And these were just scratch tracks at the time?
Well, they were decent demos. They were already like decent sounding enough to be maybe on a record. The quality, because Bobby's older brother David produced and engineered them to get them to a level where you could walk into a label and play them, and they go, "Oh, that's very pro," So I heard them. I was very impressed, and then I just said, "Well, wow, that's really unique. That's very unheard of, really, in the industry, to have one person performing and writing and playing everything." They don't usually allow that at record labels. They always assign you producers or whatever. And I know there were only a handful of artists out there that had done what Prince was doing at that time. That was like Todd Rundgren and Stevie Wonder. Maybe another guy here and there. There were a few, but then, and there were producers who weren't in the spotlight who would play and write a lot of stuff, and then they'd have a singer.
Okay.
The artist was the singer, and they'd do it that way. But this was rare, and so I just said, "Wow, this is cool. How can I meet him? Or when's he going to put a band together? Or is he going to get a record deal? And if he does, I want to, audition for his band or whatever." So, I put a bug in Bobby's ear right away. So fast forward, after he gets his record deal and he does the first album, and that comes out, and I think it was spring of '78.
Okay.
And then again, I started bugging Owen again, called him and said,
"What
hey,
were you doing at the time?"
I was just playing in a cover band.
Okay.
A couple different ones at the time.
Okay. So when this record deal went down, it was a really, really strange record deal, too, because wasn't it a multiple record deal?
Well, most record deals are. When
for
you
his
first
age?
get signed.
No?
Yeah, even someone of his age, usually they'll say, "Oh, we'll do a 3-album deal. One with 2 with the option, blah, blah, blah." Like if the first one didn't do well, they would have the option of letting him go, or maybe do one more or whatever. But he did have a 3-album deal, I think, right off the bat. And so they got the band together. They hired everybody they wanted. I did not get an audition in the beginning right away. And they hired...
there was another keyboardist before you?
There was. Temporarily, there was another local guy.
You going to tell me his name?
Yeah, Ricky Peterson.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
Ricky. Was it
Yeah,
Rick Peterson?
Yeah, Ricky, yeah.
The Peterson family, the very famous Peterson family of Minneapolis.
Yeah, well, Ricky he's like one of the greatest guys
Great guy.
of all time.
All the Petersons.
And he was in the band, and then he got called to produce and co-produce and play on somebody's album, Rocky Robbins, at the time out in L.A. So he said, "Well, Prince, I got to take a break," and he went out to L.A. to work on Rocky Robbins. But in reality, he really had no intention of sticking around to work with Prince.
Oh, either way, he was...
Yeah, he was going to say no to it. It was too constrictive for him, too constricting, he felt, is what he said to me years ago. Because I asked him, I said, why did you decide to leave? Which opened the door for me.
Yeah. And they were still friends, Prince and Rick.
Yeah, and Rick went back to work for Prince in the early 90s.
Yeah,
Actually, had an office out at Paisley Park.
I remember that.
After, my tenure with Prince. He went there because his Ricky's partner, Tom Tucker Sr., was a world-class engineer who ran a
Engineer,
studio here in Minneapolis. And then Prince brought Tucker in to run Paisley Park, and Ricky followed with him
Okay.
to be involved out there. And then Ricky produced and co-wrote Most Beautiful Girl in the World.
So how much work did you guys, when you first came in, were you guys just working on this, or were
Yeah, we
Okay.
just worked on the first album because there was no other material done yet. We had to do a showcase show for the Warner Brothers people here in Minneapolis, and then after we did that, they said, "Okay, Prince, you're not quite ready to go on the road. Your band needs to rehearse more, and you need to do your next album." So he did the second album with "I Want to Be Your Lover" not too long after I was in.
So he was probably working on that while you guys were
Not really, not yet.
No,
not really.
So what songs did you first start working with him on for you?
The whole album.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, for my audition though, I worked on like Soft and Wet, Just As Long As We're Together, My Love Is Forever. I think I worked on In Love too. Just about 4 songs just to get, for the auditions. I have like 4 ready to go. They were auditioning other keyboard players. People like Yanni even went in and auditioned.
Yanni went in?
Yanni was auditioned right before I did. And
Yanni, wow.
because he was based here, and he hadn't gone solo yet as a new age keyboard artist. He hadn't done that yet. He was playing with Chameleon at the time.
Oh.
And I don't know about all the other keyboard players, but there were about 8 guys, between here and Los Angeles that they looked at. And then about 3 weeks after my audition, I got the green light from Prince, and I was in.
Is it true, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that there was a lot of discouragement when this dropped, and there wasn't a lot of radio play. There wasn't a lot of hype around this as much as they thought there was going to be.
No, there wasn't.
And was that kind of like you guys just tried harder, and did you think about reworking anything, or
No.
it was the first album?
Yeah, it was just
Deal with it.
just an introduction to Prince. Really, when you think about For You, it's an adventurous record, though. I mean, when you listen to what he did at his age at that time, I think he was 19 and a half when he first started on it, turned 20 by the time it came out. And when you think about what it is, and the fact that he did not have an outside producer really helping much at all. The label agreed to let him produce it, but they said we still want a guy of our choosing to be at the studio with you all the time,
Really?
overseeing it. Yeah,
That sounds like the opposite of the way he worked.
Yeah, but since it was first time out, they said we'll agree to let you produce, but we're going to send our guy to be there with you just to oversee it.
Was he the acting engineer? Or
Nope. He's just there as a producer sitting around watching and listening.
I feel like this.
His name is Tommy Vicari, I believe.
Vicari, who was the Chris Moon's engineer.
No.
No?
He was a guy from Warner
learning.
Brothers.
Oh, he was. Vicari was
Yeah,
from.
yeah. It says executive producer. They put his credit on here as executive producer Tommy Vicari.
From what I remember.
Oh, it says engineered and remixed by Tommy Vicari.
Tommy.
So apparently maybe he was engineering. But there's 2 other guys on here, too. Steve Fontano and Dave Rader. And then, of course, it was mastered at Bernie Grunman's.
The Bernie Grunman,
yeah. The Bernie guy.
And I feel like I'm guilty of this, too, but a lot of people skipped this album.
Yeah, they did.
And maybe I see what you think about this, but I always feel like Soft and Wet is just such a contrast to the rest of the album.
It is.
Like, it just doesn't fit at all.
Nope.
And then the only thing that I would say that that fits with that is like Just As Long As We're Together.
Yeah.
So when this was just getting done and you were involved, when did you guys start to do some shows and tour?
Oh, not until the second album was out.
But you guys didn't just do one-off shows?
No, we did the one showcase, which was 2 nights in a row at the Capri in January of '79. And then after that, we didn't do anything until the second album was released.
Okay, so they really stepped back and kind of let you guys
for quite a while. Yeah, we needed to develop as a band.
Literally almost 2 years, 77?
Nope. The band was finalized in late October, early November of '78.
Okay.
And then by the summer of '79, we were early summer, we were rehearsing the second album, which was done and was just about to come out, but we already had copies so we could start learning it. So then we rehearsed pretty much through the summer months of 79, and then by late summer, early fall, that's when we did another showcase tour across the U.S.
Oh.
to introduce Prince to everyone at that point.
What was the reception on that?
It was good, but it was, like, who are these guys?
Who are these guys?
Yeah, who are these guys? I mean, we were just fresh out of the box, and we were playing smaller little venues around the country. But, we did play the Bottom Line in New York and Roxy Theater.
The Roxy.
Yeah, played the Roxy on Sunset, which I was like just a block away from last Sunday night at the Whiskey A Go-Go.
What is your favorite song on this album?